1, 2. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to a new live stream. My name's John Lemcool. Hands together, head bowed. Welcome. We are going to have some fun today. Oh, there's so much to show you guys. Busy week. It's always a busy week, it seems. There's so many people developing all the time these days. Let's see. Let's make sure everything is showing up. We've got, oh, let's see. Save. I have to do a quick save on the web page. Everything's so slow today. I tell you, it's been very sluggish. It's like, no save. No, I don't want that page. I need this page. Save. Okay, and then update. So lots to show you. My gosh. There's a new library from Tim Dale right around the corner. This week it's going to be rolling out. We've got a bit more just videos and stuff like that to do. The library is done. It's called Saber-Fi because Saber Sound is the name of Tim's company, and so everything has all sorts of stuff. Let's see. Yeah, sorry for the old link in my email to the old live stream. Sorry. There has to be at least one thing wrong on an email that I send out at 2 in the morning. It's just, that's my rule. There's going to be something wrong. I'm going to... Anyway. I want to show you something really cool. So I'm showing you a beta that will be turned into Unify 1.5 later this week to you all. And tell me if this has ever happened to you, right? You're playing around, you've got something interesting started, you've added a kick drum to this. Let's say we just add something like this. So we've got a... And let's say we added a vocal thing to it. Right? And then you go over here, you want to add a guitar. And instead of adding, you accidentally clicked. And it's gone. That edit is gone. You're like, no! It's gone. I lost my edit. Where'd it go? Well, there is now a place where it goes. Anytime that you change patches after Unify has recognized something that's made it turn into an edit state, it now is automatically saved as a recall. So I can now click a button and there it is. I'm back. Yay! So we have auto saving of patches in Unify 1.5. This is not a major, like we haven't added new plugins and stuff like that, but it has some things that are important and significant enough that I felt I wanted to call it 1.5. Plus it would help me remember that's 1.5 in the future to go, well, 1.5 is when we added autosave. There's an are you sure state you can turn on. We'll talk about that in a minute. But the ability to recall your patches that you've been editing, and now you can get them back. And on top of that, notice it says it's keeping track of 5. You can actually go to the settings and have it be up to 10. So it can actually, like something you were working on last night at 3 in the morning, you could go back and recall that if you want as well. So you have you can turn it off so it doesn't do any of that if you want. But we now have an auto save feature that Shane figured out and was able to implement for this update. Now, let's say that I went over to Core Station and I added some sort of a cool BPM string to this, right? So let's say we want to add a 16th adventure to this so that it's a... It'll take it a minute, of course, because Core Station, it needs to load the samples, needs to load all that stuff up. Yeah, everybody with Unify has lost to data heaven. When we working at Korg, there were some cases where we were working with betas just before the NAMM show. There's very famous ones. I wasn't there at the time, but Jack Hotop, a dear friend of mine that was part of the live stream with Herbie Hancock and everybody else 4 weeks ago, the night before releasing the M1, it lost all of its data, and they spent the night reprogramming it. And so, let's see, do we have... Now, remember when you're adding strings, because of the way BBC likes to work, they like to put that little bit of gap of air, beginning of the row, bow energy. So I'm going to use in MIDI box, I'm going to go in and I'm going to listen. It's late. Now, let's say that I accidentally clicked a button, boom, it's gone. Oh no, it's gone. I don't want to go to war. I want that really cute, nice thing I was doing back. Well, when you go to when you hit the revert button, notice it has two versions. It's time stamped. So it keeps track that, at 12, 10, and 31 seconds, I was working on this one. Above it is the newest one. So I can click and go, no, I want to go back to, I didn't like that idea with the strings. It wasn't working. It saves everything you do just in the background. It's just this auto save feature. So it's really, 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 really cool. Keeps track of what you're doing and just adds them to this list. And if you're on a patch and you've hit init and there's nothing to revert, you'll notice that the patch is still active for the button for revert should still be active. It'll just say, there's nothing I can revert to up here because I don't have anything loaded to revert, but it still gives you access to your recall patches that it is saved. They're all saved for those of you that are really interested about how this is working. If you go into the Unify folder, there is now a folder called auto saved patches, and you can go in here and here are Unify presets. So you could take this and put this somewhere else, back it up, move it to the folder you want it to be. Remember, if you move things to a folder, you're going to want to maybe consider, instead of doing that, I would suggest just leaving it there, calling it up this way. So it gets it back. We're going to get our happy sound back, right? So here we go. 1, 2. Oh, that's what the strings. I don't want that one. I want the one before that. So you go, it keeps track, as you can see. Here it is. Right. Use the save here so that you can put it into the appropriate folder or make a folder, because we save data into the file, and just moving a patch into a specific library folder is not going to change the library. Unlike Omnisphere and the way most things do, we do things a little bit more intelligently because of our licensing tools that we have. It needs to have a little bit better track of things. So you'd want to save it and put it into the appropriate folder inside of Unify. That way it will correct the data information, the name of the file. That way you can go save as, save it wherever you want it to go, and give it the proper name and all that kind of stuff so that it's no longer this long name. Notice for the Unify name, it keeps track of it this way. That's why if you look on the desktop in the folder, you'll see it's a little bit different name structure for what it's called. If you get to this point and go to Unify, autosave. This is more like the name of the file that is actually saved. Shane does this so that you can actually have the same patch in the same folder multiple times, but they're time-stamped so that it's not the same file per se. It actually has timestamp information to each save. So that is coming this week. We're looking at Thursday to release this. It has some other nice fixes to MIDI box. If you've had any MIDI, anything that's been not working right for you in Unify 1.4, here's your chance. Please don't write to us and say, I want this new feature and I want you to do. We're not at that point. Our feature set is locked, but if there's things working that should be working one way and they're not, Unify support at plugindoguru.com is our email address. Please let us know of something if you have something. We have our beta testers working on this. They don't reply to us as much as I would like. They're very busy in some cases doing all sorts of things. So this is an open opportunity to all of you that are in this room. If you're working with Unify and if it's doing something that you're not sure is right or something like that, please let us know. We want to make sure we try to fix everything that comes up by everybody, no matter how small. If it's something we can fix and it fits with everything else, we want to fix it. So please let us know. Okay, moving on. A couple other things that you'll notice that are really cool. Check this out. I can go to the known plugins. I can go to subsets. I can close, and my browser is still open. Yay! This is a huge one for me because I'm not a big fan of always having to click the browse button. We now have a setting inside of right here. In fact, here. For this one here, we've got to zoom this puppy in really big so you can see it because this is the whole desktop, and make this really big. Zoom this puppy in here. Check this out. See right here where it says auto open browser. If you turn that on, it will now always open up the browser when you go to it. So if I close this, it still has the browser open. It didn't close. It's always open. It took so much work to figure this one out and to nail it so that it works in all the DAWs. So that is a lovely thing I have wanted for a long time. I get email all the time in our tech support, Unify support at pluginguru.com. Email about that being something that we want to have. So, and so now wherever you go, whatever pages you open, go to the settings, close back out, you still have the browser open. So it's good stuff. Now, the one other thing that we're adding that's a big addition that is an optional thing you can turn on or off is, see right here where it says, ask, are you sure? That is off by default. We decided to have it off by default because basically when you call up a new patch, let's call up a new patch inside of the standard library, and it's going to call up, see, are you sure? It popped up already because something has changed in here from this patch to the new patch. And so I have to say, oh, here, let me go back to this so you can see the whole thing. I have to say, okay, every time, or hit return. Anytime Unify notices that the state has changed. If I changed another patch right now, in most cases, it's not going to. However, if I do something like, I think in guitar, we have things with combo box. I think some of these files here that have combo box, right? That automatically, immediately will dirty the state. Even without me playing anything when I change patches, it's going to ask, are you sure? So this kind of drives me crazy, so I turn it off. But there's a lot of you out there that want to always have an are you sure bumper. And you can have an are you sure bumper. It is now there to turn on and off right here on the on patch load page. So, but I'll have to buy a library this month to pay. Thank you, Lal. I appreciate that. So for those of you that like a bumper before you change patches, no matter what, just be aware, different plugins will report their state no longer being clean what we call dirty state, even though you haven't even touched the interface of Unify. You haven't done anything, and now it's going to say, are you sure you want to change? For these guys, it's not, right? But there's different cases where you're going to come to something that has combo box. I haven't changed anything. When I go to change to another patch, it goes, hey, I noticed something has changed. Are you sure you want to change? So you have to say, okay. Okay. So that bumper is there. I'm going to turn it off because it asks a little bit more often. And we've tried to look at the conditionals of like, okay, only if we make this or this, but it's an awful lot of work to get to that point. We decided not to do that work to make it a conditional, are you sure, with really specific things that it's looking for and ignoring. That's a lot of work. So we're not going to do that. So it is an on and off on the load, patch load page. Okay. So you can choose that if you want. On top of this, there's some other fixes to MIDI box, some other things just to make your experience with Unify that much more enjoyable. One other feature that I am really, really excited is here, because I use this a lot when I'm doing knob assignments and stuff, is if I was to go into, say, well, here, we're unifying some libraries that are not on this list. We're in the process of unifying Imp Oscar. It's not out yet. There's a couple others, and I'll share something kind of cool. Shane has come up with a process of converting certain plugin patches. This doesn't work for everything yet, and I'm not saying it ever will. It might not, but we have the ability for certain plugins to automatically save the patches to Unify format without even having to load them, so that Shane can basically take all the patches. Specifically, we have this working with Tall for their software. So the what's the name of their plugins? The J8, the JP8, right? The J8 Tal LX. We'll be releasing those probably in the next week, probably on Thursday. With all these other things coming out, I'll have these done. There's a little bit more work to some of the ARP isn't set to host, stuff like that. But we have a process for some of these plugins that we can save the patches in Unify format directly. Just save and it saves. I still need to go through and do knob assignments and stuff like that. So I've been working, for example, on Tal J8, right? And how many patches are there in this library? 178. Let's call up something like, and this is one of those where I'm finding that their arpeggiator is they're very finicky with sustain pedals. So I'm actually going to add a MIDI filter to this so that it doesn't hang like that from time to time. But we have the ability, because the Tal J8 is interesting in that there's actually two patches going on. There's a lower and there's an upper that can be running at the same time in consecutive. So you can have an ARP on one thing and a pad on another. Some things like that are kind of cool. I think you could do that, or maybe they both have to be on ARP, but it's two different sounds basically. But when you're looking in the mod list, let's go to an unassigned mod. That would be over here. If you go to the list of parameters, there's an upper and a lower to everything. And so what I can do now that's kind of cool, I can say this lower, get this set how I want it. And now the new added feature is right here, duplicate. So it will duplicate that parameter automatically. So just type this, say upper, done. I now have made an odd assignment to both the lower and the upper part by typing, but I duplicate the parameter. In the past, we've had copy, and you could go up here and you could say paste, right? And it would paste the assignment, but it didn't paste a new assignment target. The process, which was a little bit convoluted and confusing, is you would go here and you would say copy, and then you go up here and you would say paste. And that's how you could duplicate. Well, we now have made it a simple step to just say duplicate. So you can just duplicate it that way. And now if you want, you can double click, type to change the lower, and I need a space. Notice this, I'm gonna say lower without a space, it goes red. I didn't type it right to match the name of the parameter, but as soon as I put a space right there, boom, green. Now it works. So we have the ability, you can type in, if you know that, if you want to go totally typing based, you could say a new target of whatever you wanted to, and then just type in, you know, layer 1, blah, 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 filter cutoff, boom, it would be done. You'd never even have to go to the little buttons here to reassign or to the plus here to do the assignment. It would just, you could type it in if you wanted to. But we now have a duplicate added here. So that makes this area complete. I'm going to be doing a video now on knobs. I've had somebody ask a question about pump house and how to get pump house working. We've added a pump house, right? And when you go to pump house on this, right? How would you assign this to a knob assignment? Let me show you just as an answer to that question. I'm going to first go over here. I'm going to say initialize so that it resets this knob to nothing on it. Click the bullet, go to linked parameters, and then you hit the little plus button. This is how you add any target to anything in Unify. You can go to any layer. You've got the level, pan position, the send. If I set this to the auxiliary send for number 1, now when I change this, it can change from none, right? Now, this isn't the one I want. I wanted to do pump house. I could delete this and start over, but we also have a reassign. And that's this little dot right here. If you click this, you can go to replace, and now you're back to that same list. And now I can go back to instrument. This time I want to go to effects. And since this is an effect on that layer, I can see pump house, and you have 2 parameters, depth and the beat division. So depth, now I have access. If I had pump house opened up, I can see pump house is doing its thing. Let's put it right here so that you can see this. When I go to this, it's just as if I'm moving that knob inside of, and I can change the range. And now if we want another knob to do the beat division, because it's fun to speed up and slow down. So we could go over here, link parameters, go to the plus, and I wanted to do the full range. So I'm going to click up here one of these presets ahead of time, because if I do it right now, the way that this says is that whatever the max value is going to be the middle of the range, and it's going to stop there, right? So if I was to do it this way, let's go instrument 1, effect, pump house, beat division, boom, it stops at what the current range, what this value equals, what it would equal on the grid of intensity. Like, let's say if I get rid of this, if my beat division was down here at like, well, that'll be faster. So let's say 4 bars, right? Now by using this parameter right here for doing this, if I go instrument, effect, pump house, beat division, its value stops right there, because that's what this value equals in the range. It's actually inverted from what you see here. But what I want to have the full range right off the bat, so that I want it to do the full range. So you click this one here that goes minimum to max. It does the whole range. And what happens now is when I go to effect, pump house, beat division, boom, it moves the slider to equal this value in the whole range, but it gives me the whole range to work with. So it's really cool to use it this way. If I was to also assign this to any other parameter, then it kind of breaks it, because, you know, you're going to have the relationship change. If I say mix level, my mix level's here. It shows it here, but that's different than the value here, right? So the knob is only showing you the first thing that popped up. But now I'm controlling the volume of both the, let's see, got to turn this up to, and now I'm turning down volume and changing speed. Now, let's take this a little bit farther. I could use mixed volume, but let's change the curvature like this. And by doing this, I'm bumping it to where it stays really loud for more of the range, And at the very end, it's going to lower the range. So now I can go through the different speeds. And as I get down here, watch my volume up here. It hasn't changed yet, right? Now it's starting to change. So you can put in what's called a curve for every parameter you assign to a knob. We've got a couple people that have written us just going, I'm just now realizing the power of your macro knobs. And these are the most powerful modulation targets of any plugin I have ever worked with. From the Korg Z1 I voiced, which I kind of got a lot of my inspiration for this, to everything else. This is the most powerful thing I know of to load multiple plugins, assign multiple parameters, and have separate curvature for every parameter. You can go crazy doing incredibly cool things because of how this is set up. You could even have it to where it's up and then all of a sudden drops down and then pops back up at a certain point and has a different curve for the second half of the range. You can do so many cool things with this. Other things that we've added. I need a little mocha moment. We've also added the ability to right click on the graph and say copy. And then I could go to the mix level and go over here and say paste. And now I have duplicated that cool, unique curvature shape to multiple things that are being modulated. So we have copy and paste all over the place now for macro knobs. You've got the ability to copy a knob. If I want to swap these two, I would use paste swap, which basically is going to take macro knob 18 and put it into its buffer. So I just come over here and I say paste swap again, and now these two have changed place. I can also say just copy and just paste, and it doesn't do the swap. If I go over here and say paste to this, it's not swapping anymore. So the copy paste works like this. You go copy. I want to swap with this, so I'm going to say paste swap. And what it does is it immediately copies this knob before it pastes. So knob 17 is now in this buffer. So I can go over here and say paste swap. And now it's put knob 17 assignment over here. So you can move by swapping or just by simply copy and pasting with these parameters. Initialize to get everything back to the original name. Value at 0, nothing assigned if you want. So this area, this part of Unify is so freaking powerful. Nothing else can take things to this level of control when it comes to real-time control. Someone asked about modulating and automating inside of a DAW. We don't give you access to all of the plugins that are loaded into Unify outside of Unify. If I was to go to my DAW and I'm looking at Unify here and I was to open up the automation lanes and so forth, let's see if I can get to here. Unify is only going to show the macro knobs. It doesn't show that I have J8. It doesn't show that I have Pump House or anything assigned. You need to assign those things inside of Unify to the knobs, and now you can modulate those knobs in automation, and it can now, one knob can change a whole bunch of things. You can set it up exactly how you want inside of Unify so that it's changing things with the right curvature for the values, everything. But you don't see all of these plugins. They don't show up inside of your DAW when you go to automation. Instead, oh wait, let's go over here. You only see the macro knobs, okay? So that's how our automation system works. If you're going to work with the DAW, you would use these knobs, go into the parameters that you want, go to linked parameters, hit the plus. Let's load up something really complex. Let's say we loaded up something like from Cloud City. Let's load up some sort of a cool BPM split thing. This is going to load a whole lot of stuff, right? So now when I go to the link parameters and I click this, when I say instrument, it shows me all of the layers. It shows me the volumes for each of the 8 layers. Again, remember now, I can say mix level, and now I can just say duplicate 8 times or 7 times. Let's go duplicate, duplicate, duplicate. And then I could go over here to these, and I could go over here and double click, say 2. Oh, wait, I did it wrong. 2. Oh, I forgot to add a dash. 2 slash mix level. Over here, 3, boom, 4. So now this one slider is going to change these 4 the same amount. And then if I want, I can get really tricky and have fun and say, I want the finger cymbals to be up louder before it starts to go down. So everything else is now going to drop in volume. Hear the finger cymbals? Look at where they are. They're still up high. That's because it has a different curve than the other things in the parameter list. So that's how it works, is when you have even a complex patch, go to the link parameters, you have access to everything, every plugin, and now you see all the parameters of the plugin, so you could do cutoff to a whole lot of things. If you have auxiliary effects, we could go to the auxiliary sends. Again, do one and then duplicate, and so if here I could just say duplicate, and this one a layer 2. Because every layer has an auxiliary bus. So now I'm doing this and it's changing this for auxiliary 2. On and on and on. So it's super, super powerful. So I didn't really need to spend that much time, but macro knobs are something I have dreamed of having this level of control with for a long time, and we have it. So it really does open up some really cool doors to have that kind of control over your parameters in a patch, right? Daniela is talking about they have not to touch CC1. If you don't want something, this is set right now to CC1. Right click, go to assign Midi CC, change it to a different Midi CC. Now that knob will no longer listen to and change by Midi CC1. You could say unassign, and now there's no Midi CC whatsoever. Only automation will work. If you go like this and unassign, I have now taken off all assignments. My hardware interface, my controllers don't work. Nothing does anything anymore now. When I play, this shows CC1 on my keyboard because it's still sending MIDI CC1. If I go assign this to MIDI CC1, boom, now it listens. So you can turn it off. If you don't want it to work, turn it off. It's that simple. Or change it to another MIDI CC. The MIDI CC assignment is what is used, the name you see on the knob. So I want this to be CC1, assigned MIDI CC2, MIDI CC, I think we do 3 and 4, right? No, 1, 2, 4, and I think 67, right? So go over here, assign 67. So now my 4 knobs are now listening to my hardware again because I have turned on MIDI CC assignment. So I wish to assign the mod wheel not to change the macro knob. Okay, so here's what you do, Daniela. You have to go over here and say unassign. Now, be aware some plugins like Guru Sampler have mod wheel assignment things inside their plugin. So you also have to look at what plugin you're using and make sure that you double click to turn these to nothing as well. And now nothing whatsoever is going to change MIDI CC1 inside of this, okay? So you can turn off this knob, but a lot of times what I do, if you look at the assignments to a lot of these libraries, let's go to Tall J8, for example. When you call up a patch, if you look at this, I have nothing assigned because I only want whatever is in Tall J8 to be what the mod wheel does, right? And if I don't want mod wheel to control this, then I have to go into this plugin and turn off modulation wheel inside of this plugin. Find out where that is at and turn it off because it's not, there's a couple layers. There's this layer of this can be changing all sorts of things, but each plugin also listens to MIDI CC1. So you have to turn it off too if you don't want that to work, okay? So that's all we're going to do on that front. Please example in Plasmonic. Plasmonic is a nightmare because it's super deep programming. I'll just take a second to show you. Let's go favorites. Plasmonic, if you call up a patch, you have to learn to program Plasmonic. So let's say that it's this patch here. See, the mod wheel is changing, right? So you have to go into the macro assignments, which is found here, I believe, and see what assignments are set up, or else somewhere in here is maybe something for the modulation wheel. I don't know, but it's something inside of Plasmonic. You have to learn to program Plasmonic and turn off modulation wheel in Plasmonic. It's not Unify. It's the plugin that you're calling up and using, okay? So there you go with that. I want to point out that Pigments has been updated this week. There is an updated version. It's in the video description. Can we hear some new sounds, libraries? I know, I'm talking a lot. Yes, we'll get to that. Sorry, Larry, but this is a talking. This is more about sharing knowledge and information sometimes, right? So Pigments has been updated. If you look on the tags, I have added a tag for Pigments 3 and Pigments 2. So if you go up here and you type 2, it will show you all of the Pigments 2 patches. If you change this to Pigments 3, it will show you the 200 new patches that are inside of Pigments version 3. I'm still not the biggest fan of it's a very kind of digital. Oh, there's a little CPU heavy pad. I'm warming up though. It's better. I'll show you some of the new parameters. So inside of Pigments 3, let's open this up. Again, you can download the new Unified library. You can see how it's working there. When you're going into the, in fact, let's see. If I go over here to templates, let's go to default. They have a new engine that is really interesting. This is very similar to Razor. It's a harmonic engine. You can get into some cool harmonic things with this new engine. On top of this, they have a new effect that I really, really like. It's a new type of delay. So if you click where it says delay and you go to PS delay, this is a pitch shift delay. And as you bring a pitch shift, now let's put this onto something so it sounds appropriate. So go back to the synth engine. The way that Pigments works is you click a parameter like this, and now you can click and drag. To change the actual modulation. So by using this, I could be modulating really quickly all sorts of parameters. Let's give the amp a slow attack in and a slow fade out. Click this to turn off that assignment, and then They have some other things you can now do where you can route and split between the two filters going to the two different banks of effects. So you have effects A, effects B, and an auxiliary effect channel. So effect A could be doing this. The second effect could be doing something with oscillator 2, for example. That's doing something completely different that didn't have a pitch shift effect, which is nice. All sorts of nice things like that. It still has this kind of cold sound to it that even with them, they've added a new type of an analog type of an oscillator, I believe they call it. When you go to filters, they now have the Jupiter 8 filter from their nice filter, no doubt. It just still has this cold vibe to me. I don't know. I've tried to make patches on Pigments and it doesn't give back what you put in to me so far, which is surprising because I avoid literally 300 synthesizers. So still surprised by that, but it is what it is. It's still a cool sound. It has a lot of parameters. There's some interesting patches for sure. When you get into some of these things that are sequenced and so forth, there's definitely there's interesting stuff people have come up with. So, and it is tempo locked. So if you go down here, it will work inside of your sets. So, but a lot of people love Pigments. It's on sale for $99, which is a great price. They support it really, really well. It just has a certain sound to it that you need to want. It's definitely worth the price, you know? So I don't mean to put it down in any way. It's just, I have not connected with it yet for whatever the reason is. But it doesn't mean we don't support it and love it. So, and everything is tempo synced and you can load things up. Let's see. You know, it works just nice. It's really cool to layer these. And then I think maybe the thing that might be cool to do with this is to layer it with other things that have a certain vibe that you really like, you know? So if you add some sort of a pad or something that you have from something else, that can maybe be a cool way to get and yes, we haven't released it yet, but I need to get permission from Matt, but I do have Vital in the process of being unified. I don't release any unified libraries unless I have written permission from the people that they're okay with it. And so I want to make sure Matt is not that we're doing anything. You have to still own Vital and it's only the free patches, but I still want to make sure everybody is on board with what we're doing when I do these unified libraries, right? You know, take a sound that you're familiar with and that you like, and then you can go finding the cool special effects and drones and so forth, and maybe that's what I need to do more of to really enjoy the Pigments vibe. right? Plus Unify effects don't help at all too. So going in, adding an auxiliary bus, let's add an auxiliary effect layer, some sort of really cool thing like this. It's on the pads. Versus yeah, so there's all sorts of cool ways to go there. So that has been unified. The link is in the video description for Pigments version 3. Again, we have them separated so that if you go here to, oh, we're not on Pigments, we started with Wormhole. But if you go to a Pigments patch, it will tell you inside of the tags whether it's Pigments 2 or Pigments 3. And if you go up here to the search area and say Pigments 3, this is something you can't, I didn't find out how to do this inside of Pigments itself, but we can do it in Unify because we had them separated at one point where I could add the tags. You can see just the version 3 patches that are added that have using these new parameters and the new engine for harmonics and the new effects. Additive blades. See, if I'm, let me just give you a comparison. Let's do it this way. I need to get something loaded. Reveal in Finder. I believe I can get to here like this. Go to there. Razer does additive in its unique way as well. But I personally love the sound of this. Let's say Evil Razer was the first library I did. We'll put both of these guys in here just to give you a comparison to the sounds. So I'm going to hit the little refresh and have a sip of mocha. So it'll take a second to add a couple hundred extra patches. Andrew says, been really enjoying playing with Pigments. Awesome. Impressed you were able to unify the latest patches so quickly. Everybody can give a big shout out to Jeremy Hall. He has the tools that can take anything and save it within hours. Well, all the patches. He even implements OCR technology to copy in the patch names in some cases. All sorts of things that he does. It's automated, I believe, so that it's just, he starts it up and he's got it mastered so it works. Let me give you a comparison. Let's go to Razer, Evil Razer, to like some sort of Evil Pastoral. Let's load this into a new Unify layer. Just to give you a comparison, I'll tell you, see if you can tell a difference in how these sound. So let's solo. Here's Razer. Okay, that's not the right patch. So let's say we go over here to, how do we get to our patches? We don't want the embedded. We need to get to, I believe it's here. Save changes, no. I think oh, wait, that's Monarch? Oh, I didn't want to do that. So let's do this. Delete that. Let's try another thing that's up. There's a pad. Here we go. So, Angelus, let's load that. And solo. Now these are two different, so you can't compare them side by side, but they are using similar technologies. Where you have all these harmonics are being animated. just this life to the sounds, right? Compare that to Pigments. It's a whole different vibe. It's a different planet, even though they are in the same solar system. And I have tried to get something that goes into the range of these kind of sounds. Pigments is incredible for. I love the plucky, pure stuff. That kind of stuff. It's a great plugin for sure. I just haven't gotten to where I pull that kind of stuff out of Pigments, so I need to keep digging. Put it together with Razor. And it's like, whoa, what would you just do? To that new tonk omega delay, let's say like a half note, and let's go over here. One of my favorite tricks with omega delays, go to the power curve and add a little distortion to the delay tab. Let's warm it up with a little modulation. Oh, I lost it. Oh no, thank goodness I'm using 1.5. I can go back to revert. There it is. Get it back. So again, this is going to save so much because so many times we lose our work. Uh-oh, let's see here. Let's get back to additive blades. I'm not going to touch anything. I think I touched something so it couldn't get it back to where it was supposed to be. There. Oh. We'll have to look at that. This is a weird situation going on. So I don't know what is going on. Why is it doing that? It's supposed to go to here. And I'm not touching anything. Shane, we have to look at this. Yes, thank you, James. Anyway, this is a situation we have to look at. Maybe there's something going on with Razor or something like that that makes this a little on the unique side. It is beta. We will look at this to see why. We have to see. We have to have this kind of stuff happen so that we can test it. Oh, I need to get another library up and into Unify. Let me see here. Rocky Mountain Sounds, Polar Ice X. This, my friends, is an epic library of monstrous proportions. It's 1,000 patches. We're going to do a little Rocky Mountain Sound Jason Schopfer tribute here. Yeah, it is a CPU heavy. Pigments can get CPU heavy because of the type of synthesis it is doing. It can go there pretty fast in some cases. Take a sad song and make it beta. Yeah. Jason just read my mind. It's like, okay, I want to talk about Jason. One of our customers, dear friend of mine, he's not just a customer, but a colleague is the word I was looking for, has been with me on this journey. Oh God, many, many years. Started with, oh God, where? So long ago. But we've done libraries, Northern Lights, and he did Northern Impact, which are both on sale at the Plugin Guru website. And he's continuing to make libraries that he sells to a couple other websites. A good friend of ours sells a number of his libraries. This is one he sells on his own website. It's taken a minute because it's over 1,000 patches. It has additional bonus patches for Unify that are found only here. And this is taking Jason, what did you sample? What were the instruments that you sampled? If you could write in the list, I will show you guys. Polar Ice. It has all of these ambience, basses, bass plucks, bell pads. It goes on and on. It's super heavy on incredible pads. It'll take a second to will Razor and be unified. I don't know if we're gonna save the I don't know about maybe the patches for Razor. We haven't done that yet because Razor is one of those that's a little tricky to get actually up and running. So this has, as you can see, Jason is talking about, he has a Prophet 12, which is a wonderful synthesizer, a Juno, Sub Fatty, and he's got ambient audio samples that he's recorded streams and forests and all sorts of things. These ice pads are incredibly beautiful. This is for Omnisphere 2, meaning you need to own Omnisphere 2 for this library to work. All sorts of... And you can, of course, right-click. Down here to the end, there's a Z category. These are all really cool combinations of various patches with effects that go like boom to the moon. All sorts of really, really cool things, colonies. I even haven't had a... Really, really cool. Go to Cloud City, we got to add a little bit of a groove or something to this, right? So BPM drum, spice it up. We could go more chill. So we go, no, let's go to, do I have UniChill in here? Oh, Skippy. My goodness, I don't have UniChill in here right now. We could try another. Now, this is a cool chance to show you something that I like to do with some of these grooves. These are 2 major grooves or more. Just change it to be 1 bar, so it just stays simple. Right? You don't always want it to have fills and little extra things to go along with everything. So this is a great library. He has it on an introductory price. And again, all of these beautiful splits have all sorts of really cool things to work with, right? Yeah, Yeah, it would be 2,000 patches really easy. So anytime you call up one of these that you want to add a groove to, it's really easy. You can go to any of the other libraries that give you access to grooves. The standard library, if you go to BPM drum, there's all sorts of things from BPM shakers. Things under perk, so you go red shaker 8. And also realize that if you open up the MIDI box for this, in a lot of cases, there's more. You can also shift the timing a little bit. Also go into the instrument. This is something that's fun with shakers to do. Sometimes they're too bright. Filter them down. And also raise it up in pitch. Now it becomes more like just a small element instead of being such a big. Let's add a snare. Let's add this drum pattern. So it's really easy to add all sorts of cool groove elements to these if you want to go there. The factory has all sorts of BPM kicks and snares. And again, I could go to the snare part, go into MIDI box, and if you click right here, it will take you to this folder of all these single parts, and you'll find if you get to snare, there's all sorts of other snare parts. There's playing different notes. If that's not enough, you can go here to offset and find the sample you want to play. If you don't want to be a snare. Or if this is the case and you want to be that plus something, just go over here and say duplicate the layer, go to the second MIDI box, transpose it down to a snare. You could go into the Groove Sampler, change the envelopes and release so it's short. There's all sorts of places to just expand to what you want. So, I don't have a video link to this right now, but if I go over here and say Polar X, I will put the link right here if you want to get more information, hear demos about it. It's going into the video chat right now. Yes. And Will Joseph is saying, all you people that own Omnisphere are lucky. There's so many dedicated libraries. I believe there's close to like 500 or 600 libraries for Omnisphere at this point. I have 40 myself. So it's definitely been supported very well. At this point, I want to point out, we have a library coming for Unify using just Unify. It's in a different place than the UniChill. This is a library from Tim Dale. It's called Saber-Fi. We have some really nice artwork I can show you. I just got from my graphic artist guru in Poland. He is a talented individual, and here is our artwork that I think is pretty darn cool. So, ta-da! Saber-Fi will be coming out later this week for just Unify. Don't need anything else. cycle between different patches and a lot of these. Or turning the ARPs off, so you just. Really cool stuff. I believe we are up to how many patches now? 250 patches in this library. So it goes all over the place. It's got the OBX as a kick. He's got some cool BPM. It's got some BPM grooves where it's got everything going on. Tim Dale style. Low for a second. Really nice stuff. Lots of inspiration to be found in these patches. Lost in picking. Jitter key. Cool. Angel Spires for lots of hidden stuff on the knobs. It's one of those libraries where you definitely want to go to the knobs and play with them to see what is going on. There's all sorts of fun stuff. Everything has at least 4 things. BPM sequence guitar. Good stuff. Okay. So all sorts of creative ideas here to play with. It's really fun. Okay, so 250 patches. It will be available on Thursday. Thursday's gonna be busy. Cool. Fun stuff. All right, so that is a fun coming to Unify library. And then lastly, today I wanted to talk to you guys about a company I came across that I am really impressed with called Devious Machines? Yeah, Devious Machines. They have a wonderful bundle at a really fair price for some really, really cool effects. They have Pitch Monster, I'm going to show you in a second, that can do all sorts of pitch shifting in 3 different modes. It can even play it on the keyboard, which is really cool. Duck is another take on the LFO Pump House, but it has the ability to split the frequencies so that it can only affect a certain frequency range. It has input audio triggering, which is something a lot of the modulation things don't have, so you can actually bring in something from somewhere else in your DAW to trigger. Texture is just nuts because it allows you to put all sorts of really cool textured noises and so forth that follow the envelope of your sounds. So it can turn drum sounds into all sorts of really weird things. It's really, 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 really cool. So I want to show you those effects really quickly. Thank you, Tim, for Saber-Fi. You're going to love that. Let's do this. Let's start with a drum groove just for something, let's see, like maybe Vintage King. Let's go here. Let's go to all audio effects to Devious Machines. I'm going to show you texture first. So it's following the envelope of the drums. So I can go to all these different patches. I could go to bass or dirt. Like it's an old record. Add gyros. You have pitch. Tambourine is really cool. They've got vocal samples, all sorts of things. Risers. But it's following the tempo of your song and the part that's playing. So if we were to duplicate this, and let's see, let's say, go over here, we say copy plugin state, turn it off. Let's use this as an insert effect. Devious Machines, texture, go to this and say paste. Right, so you can add all sorts of cool things that will follow the rhythm of the part. Even pads and so forth can be added to have all sorts of cool things. They have vocal samples. And I think you get to be random. You have parameters here for the decay. So if you need to just right, really, really, really cool. So I love texture. There's Pitch Monster. Let's go over here. This is equally insane in that this is your traditional, but it's keeping pitch. It has also formant. And it has even vocoding, so you can, I think they have some things here where you can say factory presets, vocoder. It has the ability to do this unison and pitch shifting and spread. Like if I was to go in, let's see, I could go to, where would I go to show this type of thing? Let's change this to be contact really quick and call up a sample library. Contact. I need more mocha. The other one they have is duck. I'll try to tie that in with this at the same time. Let's say we go to, I need to go to one of the, let's see, one of my libraries in my sample libraries. I think I have some vocal samples here. Go down here to, am I in the samples folder? Vocals, where's vocals? Vox. Let's see, dance library. Oh, these are going to be like that. Oh, okay, you're doing that to me. Okay, new instrument. Editor. Oh, spray. So it's turned. Let's see, bypass. This vocal sample into. I can play it from MIDI. I think it's at the 64 voices. Just crazy stuff. If I was to go to, let's say, Omnisphere 2 Creature-esque, right? Let's go Omnisphere. Call it the Creature-esque library. This has a whole lot of different samples and so forth. By the way, I'm very excited. I've scheduled a flight to go see if my friend Kathy that did the Creature-esque library. She lives in Mexico now, so I'm going to go hang out in Mexico, and we are going to make a new library for Creature-esque, I believe is the plan. So if we go to the phrases, let's do this. Let's bypass it first. This is such a powerful plugin. It's let's go. I need to do it. So you can process vocals in crazy ways. Here's the original. Let's go over here to some of the other like gender changes. Just does some really interesting things to samples and vocals. I've I want to play with this a whole lot more. I've heard some really cool examples of like a single track of someone singing. You can do the big vocoder chords like Zed. Some of these other people that do really cool things, they're using this plugin, and it's so you can double with octave below. That's from one sample. You can filter. Really nice. Really, really great effects. So this would be very handy for the work I want to do, sound design, with a couple things I'm working on. Very important tools. So I wanted to make those aware to you guys and to check them out if you need things that can do crazy things to audio that are creative and musical. Okay, so Craig, good news. The next Creature-esque will be for Unify. So we can have more than 8 samples across the keyboard, and you won't need to use Omnisphere to play it. We did it for Omnisphere because at the time, more customers owned Omnisphere, and the people that owned Omnisphere paid for libraries. I could do libraries for other plugins, and they didn't sell very well, so I had to keep supporting Omnisphere because that's where people that actually had money and were willing to buy libraries lived. People that Serum libraries for me still haven't sold. I don't know how these guys making Serum libraries are making any money at all, because a lot of people that own Serum just make their own sounds. They don't need new sounds. There's certain people that like to have new sounds. People that own Omnisphere, they're always looking for new sounds. They're working because they can afford to buy expensive plugins. Well, we're in a different phase. I have my own plugin I want to support, and so it will be for Unify. So you won't need anything. So it will just own Unify, buy the library, and we're going to do some really, really cool stuff. We'll definitely take things up a notch from what we did for Creature-esque. I can't wait. Kathy lives in Mexico, and so I'm going to be spending some time in San Miguel de Allende. There's other singers there we're going to work with. There's beautiful places that are just, ambiences are incredible. She's told me about, we're going to record people singing in these places and use those to build the library. And, you know, then again, use tools to like take out the pitch of what they sing and make them into really cool things too. So, you know, yeah, it's much easier on resources to use Unify versus Omnisphere. A lot of these plugins have a lot of overhead just to get them to play samples. Thank you, Craig. That's very kind of you all. So, yeah, Devious Machines. If you guys are interested in really cool plugins, Devious Machines, deviousmachines.com. It's a smaller group. I think there's 3 or 4 of them. They're in the same camp as yours truly, of being just a small fish in a big pond. And I really like their interfaces and the tools. Oh, I didn't show you Duck. Let me show you Duck really cool. It does some cool things. Let's say we go to Cloud City. Let's play with a whole big mix for a second. This would be kind of fun just to mess up. So we're going to BPM split. Let's say Race for a Cure, something kind of fun. And let's, at the very output, go over here to Devious Machines. Come on, you Devious Machines. Right? We've got the same kind of tools, different presets, but I really like this. We can have it just affect certain frequencies. controlled, go like this, and now the low end, so you can get, so it just gets rid of the certain frequencies where the kick is, not the whole mix, which is really cool. There's the ability to do complex patterns and stuff like that. So if you go to the presets, to some of the rhythms, they have get the accent, certain parts. They also have a whole trigger mode where you can use MIDI or a sidechain. And if you go to the sidechain, check this out, you can filter your sidechain signal and control the hysteresis and other parameters to get it. So it's just the kick drum that is in the mix that's triggering the sidechain effect. It's more than just an automated LFO tool, you know? LFO tool's cool. Pump house that we have inside of Unify is cool, but it's limited what it can do. This is if you need to go above that grade to a higher level, here you can have it so it doesn't affect the high frequencies. You can cross over set it, right? So it's more tailored in some really cool creative ways for your mixing. Oh, I changed my trigger mode. That's what it is. So, plug in input. Side chain. Repeat. Okay. And again, you can click and drag, change the curvatures. Smooth as butter and very flexible. So duck. So something to check out for it. If you need some really cool creative sound design plugins, these guys do some cool things that I haven't seen in other plugins. Pitch Monster is a monster, duck, and texture is just magic to add something weird. You're in the middle of a mix and all of a sudden, I wish the second verse, I wish the drums had something different. Have something added just to the hi-hat in the second verse from texture. That's the way to use things like that. It just gives you the ability to quickly like pop something up, put it onto something to give it a different mix and presentation, and off you go. So yeah. For some people, I know some people that literally have 300 atmosphere libraries and want more, you know, and that's cool. It's fun. A, you're supporting people, keeping people paying their bills. And B, if it's a different library with a different concept and a different approach, and it's something you don't currently have covered, cool. You know, it's great to find different things like that. Yeah, it's similar to Tantra. Tantra takes things way out into all sorts of crazy territory. That's one we should look at showing you guys if you don't know about at some point here in the future. There's so much to show that is coming, but I can't show you yet. But I have a guitar loop library coming that I'm really excited about. It's a different concept than I presented before, so that'll be something unique. We've done the sessions for the toy drums and all sorts of things that Taylor is in the process of editing and stuff like that. What was our website? DeviousMachines.com. DeviousMachines.com right here. I would appreciate it if you guys support them. Their bundle is a reasonable price for the 3 effects. Plus you get, there's textures has an additional library of a couple hundred megabytes of additional. I love their graphics. The graphics are just really, really, really cool. There's a separate library you can buy of other textures that it is included in the bundle, which is cool. But all these things are added: tape noise, digital noise, plastic bags, power cords, all sorts of buzzes, all sorts of things. Texture is kind of the cool gem that a lot of people haven't thought about, you know. And there's some nice videos. They do a good job educating people how to use it. You can download demos to try out if you want. Highly recommend. DeviousMachines.com is their website. Show them some love. They were very kind. We're in a nice relationship now. I emailed them yesterday because I saw these and I was like, oh my gosh, you guys need to know about this. I want to work with these. And they got back to me, gave me an NFR to their plugins. I sent them NFRs to Unify because he's like, I've been dreaming of a plugin like Unify. So we're just in a nice, brotherly, good relationship. And I wanted to present them to you guys so that you would know about them, because some of you are doing all sorts of fun things and need tools like this, because I can't think of anywhere else where there's something quite like textures, where it's listening to the audio and doing things to some. There's all sorts of things that do patterns and so forth, noises and sequences and all that stuff. But something that's actually following an audio that you feed it and then modifying that is, it's easy, it's fast, it's cool, it's automatable, win-win. So there you go. All right, well, shout out time. Where are you guys at in the world today? One new atmosphere library a week. I've tried that myself, man. But, you'd be busy all year round. So shout out from Portland, Oregon, where it's raining, which is nice. This last week, some of your lovely daughters, some of your dollars for the libraries you bought went to buying a little Japanese maple. And I have my own pink dogwood. I've always wanted to have a dogwood tree. So I have a dogwood tree and a maple tree for my yard. So thank you for your support. Pays to keep the roof over my house. And now I have a couple cute little trees in the front yard. So it's pretty cool. Thank you. Shout out from where you are, North Yorkshire, Orlando. Cool, Stephen. Our friends in Boulder, Colorado, Canada. Oh, Carl, you're in Iceland. Oh, I was so sad. So if you don't know about it, there's a really cool website called Scott's Cheap Flight. I think it's Scott Cheap Flights. Let me see here. It's scottscheapflights.com. And let's see here. Wait, if I go over here, I'm going to log in here. Check this out. It's like $50 a year. And they have incredible, inexpensive tickets anywhere in the world. You can say where you want to leave from. Iceland was $268 for going in May to Iceland, round trip. And I'd already bought my tickets for Mexico, and it was I'm not going to try to fit that all into 1 month. You'll never see me again. But this website is wonderful because they have incredible deals all the time popping up. So Scott's Cheap Flights, if you guys want to travel the world and see the world and not have to spend huge dollars for tickets, they pop up some crazy save you half or more on tickets all the time. And I was so sad because Iceland was from Seattle, it was $282 round trip. Other places is in the 250s round trip. The deals last a day or two, so you have to jump right on them. But boy, good way to save money. All right, well, be well to you all. SSL Fusion, wow, nice E-sides. That's going to keep you busy. Cheers to you all. Thank you for your time, enjoying and hanging out and all that stuff. We're happy to see you and support you. I checked, it's really funny. I checked I take these live streams off from my main YouTube feed and feed them into a single playlist on the Plugin Guru YouTube channel. If you go to playlists, I think it's like 280 live streams. That's a lot of Saturdays I have sat and talked to you guys, but it's fun to do. You're part of family. You're our family. You're my family. So I appreciate it. Be well. Be creative. Again, if you have any suggestions of things for Unify bug-wise, things aren't working right, we would love to hear from you. Unify support at pluginguru.com. 1.5 we hope to release on Thursday. Thank you. See you later. Okay. Bye.